Hi, our group will be presenting the top 6 environmental issues of China by Perla Álvarez, Gisela Rojas, Mary Flores, Mayra Monsiváis, Cristo Patiño, and Melody Rodriguez.
Water pollution. According to China's State Environmental Protection Administration (CEPA), in 2006, 60% of the country's rivers suffer from pollution to such an extent that they cannot be safely used as drinking water sources. For example, the Han River, which flowed through the Beijing and Tianjin, was badly polluted. Water pollution statistics. Over 95% of China's rivers and 90% of groundwater sources are polluted to some degree. According to China's Environmental Protection Authority, 35% of China's major rivers are not fit for direct human contact, and nearly all of its drinking water requires some degree of treatment. The pollution is caused by chemical dumping from nearby factories, agricultural waste, and human wastewater. Possible solution to this issue. The main goal is to maintain trust of these river flows, dispose trash properly. Factories, industries should create proper disposal of their chemicals as well. Implement fitness for layering on the environment. Water pollution prevent and control action plan in 2015.
Biodiversity. China has a rich biodiversity, boasting the largest number of species and genus per varieties in the world. But also, China's biodiversity is declining as human population is growing. Agriculture, farming, harvesting natural resources for personal use, industrial and urbanization development is causing natural degradation and habitat loss. Also, the illegal wildlife trade as well as overfishing, leaching of tropical birds is leading to a change in biodiversity of China as well as the reproduction in habitat causing high pollution densities, encouraging the spread of diseases. Statistics. 2,140 species listed in the city's appendices were in danger of extinction in 2011. Also, 15 to 20% of China's species of higher plants are in danger. The habitat loss caused by increasingly severe land degradation has been significant damage. 90% of China's coastline and 40% of its wetlands have been sustained significant degrees of deterioration. But human actions are not the only one changing the biodiversity of China. Also, there is a habitat destruction throughout the natural process, which include volcanism, fire, and climate change.
The cancer villages of China are due to the extreme environmental pollution caused by economic development. Over 70% of the rivers and lakes are polluted. As a result, cancer mortality rates rose 80% in the past 30 years. First reported in 1998, China's government did not acknowledge the problem until March of 2013. The country values economic development over any cost. Stomach, liver, kidney, and colon cancers are a few of the cancers that are killing China's underprivileged.
Desertification is land degradation, and it is seen in humid and semi-arid areas as well as non-desert areas. It involves the loss of biological and economic productivity, and it occurs in discontinuous and isolated patches, as well as where climatic variability, especially rainfall, coincides with unsustainable human activity. The types of desertification in China are wind erosion, which forms 44.1% due to the irrational human economic activities, water erosion, which is 45.7%, and soil loss through water erosion is the most serious cause. Salinization forms 8.3%, and engineering construction forms 1.3% due to the increased wind and water erosion. Desertification occurs when already fragile land in arid and semi-arid areas is overexploited. So the methods for combating desertification include fixing sand by engineering, which covers sand with straw, clay pebbles, and branches, fixing sand by planting, which is effective and an economic source of additional fuel and forest, fixing sand using chemical methods, which creates a protective layer over the sand, water-saving techniques like spray irrigation, drip irrigation, prevention of seepage in channels, and integrated water management like terraces, check dams, and silt arrest. Other solutions to stop desertification would be planting trees to prevent erosion, straw grids to decrease the surface wind velocity, forest restoration, put up fences where overgrazing is a problem, and planting of drought-resistant trees.
Population growth. China's population growth is currently 1.3 billion. The lowest it has been was back in 1961, while its highest was in 1966 with 2.8%. This country would be running out of living land area by 2030 if there was no decline in its birth rate, 383 people per mile square. Therefore, some controlling solution had to take place immediately. Statistics. The current population of China is 1,387,097,586 as of today, Friday, April 21st, 2017, based on the latest United Nations estimates. China ranks number 1 in the list of countries and dependencies by population. China's population is equivalent to 18.47% of the total world's population. China's population is the largest of any country in the world. Possible solutions. In 1979, China started the one child per family policy. This policy stated that citizens must obtain a birth certificate before the birth of their children. The citizens would be offered special benefits if they agreed to have only one child. Citizens who did have more than one child would either be taxed up an amount of 50% of their income or punished by the loss of employment or other benefits. Furthermore, unplanned pregnancies or pregnancies without the proper authorization would need to be terminated. Other methods that have been used by the Chinese government to restrict rising population totals included birth control programs and economical changes. In the early 1800s, sterilization target goals were set and made mandatory for people who had 2 children. At its peak in 1983, tubal ligations, vasectomies, and abortions amounted to 35% of the total birth control methods. Contradictions of China's one-child policy. A lot of discussions of China's one-child policy seem to revolve around the idea that it was a human right violation that led to sex-specific abortions and other abuses, along with problems like lopsided gender ratios and an aging population. But it also had a dramatic impact, massively slowing China's population growth. China says the policy reduced births by 400 million in 1970, but some experts say that the number may be closer to 100 million. Effects due to China's population growth are water pollution, transportation, urbanization, overpopulated regions that led to degradation of land and resources, pollution, and detrimental living conditions. By 2008, the use of chemical fertilizer nearly doubled since 1990, which contributes to water and soil pollution. Stress on welfare also becomes a greater issue because of the larger expenses on pension benefits and medical security. China faces serious social and economic problems associated with overpopulation in the years to come, and have in mind that China is smaller than the United States.
Air pollution in China. China is known as the worst air pollution problem in the world. Most of the air pollution is a result of coal. Coal is a major source of energy in China. However, because of the population growth, it also aids the usage of coal in the winter. When coal is being burned, it releases high concentrations of ambient PM 2.5, which is toxic to the environment and people around it. More people are beginning to live in the cities of China and are buying vehicles to transport. But by buying a vehicle, they're also raising the greenhouse gas emission. Effects of air pollution. Being exposed to chemicals in the air causes high blood pressure and various other short-term and long-term health effects. Other effects that are associated with the exposure to air pollution in China are smoking, high sodium consumptions, low consumption of fruit, cancer, and even premature death. This is a chart otherwise known as an air quality chart. The chart is used by the government to relate how polluted the air is to its citizens. The chart goes from 0 being the best air and 500 being the worst livable air. China is at number 751. Which isn't even on the chart to begin with. Because of this, in 2016, China had to call a red alert to the capital and 21 cities in China. When a red alert is called, it results in the shutting down of schools, the ordering of thousands of vehicles off the roads, and having every citizen stay inside until the smog is cleared. Solutions to air pollution. In order to get rid of the air pollution in China, it is suggested that they substitute natural gas for coals for residence and commercial use. Boilers and stoves fueled by coal, wood, or wastes are notorious for emitting pollution. China should commit to the more costly step of shutting down half of its coal-fueled power plants and replacing them with cleaner electricity generating technologies that rely on natural gas, nuclear, and renewables for fuel. A third step would be accelerating the scrapping of so-called yellow tag motor vehicles, meaning older, highly polluting cars and trucks. Strong winds can be used to blow the smog away, but the winds were also harnessed to generate an alternative, clean source of electricity, replacing and reducing the use of fossil fuels. Also, in order to fully rid themselves of air pollution, the community has to want it enough to come together and help the environment they live in.